Hey everyone, welcome to another video of DevOps Studio. So in this video, we will talk about a very important cloud concept that is called serverless. And we will also take a look at a very important AWS service that is AWS Lambda service. So this is part 1, and in the part 2, we will do a full-on end-to-end serverless project that you guys can follow along with us, and at the end, you can also use that in your resumes. So without wasting any time, let's get started. My name is Mohit. You're watching DevOps Studio. So when it comes to serverless, there is a very big misconception. That is, people think that serverless means that there are no servers. Okay, so this is not true. And the reason why people think like this is because the word serverless itself means that there are no servers, right? But this is not true. But what it actually is that servers are there. It's just that some third party is managing it. In our case, AWS or Azure. Okay, so you get this illusion that there are no servers because you are not managing it. But everything is running on servers. In fact, the video you are watching right now is probably running on some YouTube server. Okay, so servers are always there. So all the major cloud providers, whether it's AWS, Azure or GCP, they have a set of serverless services. Okay, and this is just a short list. Okay, there are more services. For example, in this video, we'll talk about this AWS Lambda service, right? There are API gateways, S3 that we have a separate video already on the channel. So in case you haven't watched it, please go back and watch the S3 video. And DynamoDB, SQS, Kinesis, right? Similarly, on the Azure side, you have Azure Functions, Logic Apps, Blob Storage. So we will start this series with the AWS Lambda service, okay? So what is Lambda? Okay, so it's a serverless computing service that allows you to run code without managing any servers. Okay, so let's take an example. Let's say you have a Python code, okay, that you want to run on the cloud. So what are the options? You can either run it on a VM, right? You can create a EC2 machine and then you can install Python. You can install all the binaries, all the dependencies, right? And then you can run your function. Okay, but that will involve a lot of setup, right? You will have to first create a machine, then you will have to log into that machine, you will have to do all sorts of configurations and other things, right? You can also deploy it on some containerized systems, whether it's EKS or ECS, but again, that will also involve a lot of steps like creating the Docker files, then deploying it on that cluster, right? But there is an easier approach, okay? And that approach is Lambda, okay? So what Lambda does is, whatever Python code you have, you can just copy paste it into a Lambda function, and then AWS will handle all the things in the background. Okay, so let me show you. Let's go to the AWS console and let's click on Lambda. So on the get started page of Lambda, if you scroll down, it will give you an example. For example, let's say you have this Java code, okay, that prints hello from Lambda. Okay, so if you click on run, you will see the output right here itself. Okay, and we have not created any servers, right? So all the Java dependencies, all the underlying infrastructure is being created by AWS. That is how we are able to run this, right? So let's create our own Lambda function. So over here, let's click on create a function and let's call it YT demo, and then it will ask you to select the runtime. Okay, so this is the runtime that you want to use. For example, if you have a Java 21 project, you can use this. If you have a Node 22 project, you can select this. Okay, so for now, let's select Python 3.12. okay, and we can keep everything as default and click on create function. So our Lambda function is ready. So if you scroll down, you will see this IDE. Okay, and if you look at this Python code, then it is a simple function and it is returning a 200 status code with this message in the body that says hello from Lambda. Okay, so let's test it. So on the top, you see this test bar. Okay, let's click on this and you'll have to create an event. So let's call it test event. Okay, you can keep everything as default and just click on save, and then let's click on test. So you will see this little execution window, and if you expand it, you will see the same output, status code 200, and the body is hello from Lambda. Okay, And if you do not want to test it like this, there is another option. You can also test it just like any other API. So for that, go to the configuration tab. On the left, you will see function URL and click on create function URL. Now it will ask you for the authorization. So whether you want to authenticate using IAM or you don't want to use any authentication. So for testing purposes, I'm going to disable this and click on save. So as you can see, now we have this function URL that we can copy, okay, and we can paste it in a browser. And you will see the same output on the browser as well, okay, and the same thing you can also do using Postman. And as you can see, with just a few clicks, we have a working function on the cloud, okay, and to run this, we have not created any server, right? Everything internally is being managed by AWS. So let's go back to the slides and understand a few more concepts when it comes to serverless, and then I will come back and explain you the remaining features of the Lambda function. So the way it works is, so this is us that we just created a Lambda function. Okay, it's also called a function as a service, okay, because it's a service provided by AWS. So if you know the concepts of SaaS, PaaS, right, then you can relate to this. If not, then we have a separate video on that topic, so you can watch that. So we just created a Lambda function, and when we run it, the request goes to the AWS backend. Okay, and what AWS does is, internally, it will create the server as well as other supporting services like the storage device or the networking devices, right? And since it's a Python Lambda, it will also install the Python runtime on the server, as well as all the libraries and everything that are required to run your code. And as you can see, servers are there, right? It's just that AWS is managing those servers. That is why you get this illusion that there are no servers. And this is exactly what is called a serverless architecture. Now, there are a few benefits when it comes to serverless. So first one is the reduced operational complexity. Okay, and this is very simple to understand because we have not created any server, we have not installed Python, right? We just went there, we just copy pasted our code and we run it. Okay, so there is no operational complexity because we are not setting up anything. The next thing is automatic scaling, right? So let's say you send millions of traffic to this Lambda function, then AWS will automatically do the scaling in the background so that you do not have to worry about scaling up or scaling down. And if you compare it with EC2, then in that case, we will require separate auto scaling options, right, to scale those VMs up and down. But over here, it is automatic. And another key benefit is that it is cost efficient. So Lambda charges you based on the number of requests and the duration of that execution. Okay, so let's say you are running your Lambda only once a day and it takes around 10 minutes to execute. So AWS will only charge you for those 10 minutes, okay, and not for the entire day. On the other hand, if you had created an EC2 machine, then you would be charged for the entire day or the entire time the EC2 machine is running. So Lambda is a very useful serverless component if you have a piece of code that you want to run on the cloud without any setup. For example, if you want to set up a small script that maybe upload some data or log files or reports to S3 every once a day, then Lambda can be very useful for that scenario. Another useful use case would be if you want to create an image resizing service. Okay, so you can send those images to this Lambda function and this Lambda function will do the resizing for you. But just like any other thing, it also has a few limitations. First one is limited execution time. This is a very important interview question. So every Lambda function can only execute for a maximum of 15 minutes. Okay, this is a limitation. Okay, so often in interviews, people will ask you what is the maximum execution time of a Lambda. So now you know it is 15 minutes. Okay, so that means that if you have some function or piece of code that runs beyond 15 minutes, then we have a problem. Okay, so either you will have to cut it down or you will have to use a different service altogether. And the second limitation is that the debugging and monitoring is a bit complicated. Okay, and why is that? So if you look at this diagram, then the server and the other components are being managed by AWS. Okay, so you do not have access to the server, right? You cannot SSH into this machine. You cannot, log into this machine and do some extra commands, right? That is not possible here. Okay, so that is why for debugging this, you are only relying on the logs that AWS is giving you. And the last and a very important limitation actually is a cold start latency, which is another very important interview question. So what is cold start? So it is very similar to a car in winter. So you must have noticed that in winters, you have to, give it a few seconds for your car to start. Okay, it struggles in the winters, right? It's called a cold start. And Lambda also has a similar problem. Why is that? Is the moment you trigger this Lambda function, right? The moment you trigger this, right, and the request goes to AWS, then in the background, AWS is creating all those supporting components, right? And the time taken to create these resources, okay, can range anywhere from a few milliseconds to a few seconds, okay? And that is the cold start. Now, how do we fix this issue? So you can do a couple of things. First of all, you can make sure that your code is following the best practices and it is following the concepts of clean code. That means you are only using those libraries that are relevant to you and your code is less bloaty. Okay, so that it is as lightweight as possible. And even after doing that, let's say the cold start time is still very significant, then you can do warming. So there is a concept called function warming, okay, and it simply means that you just invoke the Lambda couple of times a day so that in the background AWS does not destroy the resources. Okay, so for example, let's say you want to run your Lambda every day at 2 p.m. okay, so if you run it directly at 2 p.m. then obviously there will be cold start because in the background AWS will create all these resources. So what you can do is you can run it 2 minutes before. So let's say at 12:58 p.m. okay, you can do a test. Okay, you can test it. Okay, so that internally AWS will create the resources. So after 2 minutes, when it runs actually at 1 p.m. so it will already have all those resources created in the background so that you will not face the cold start situation because AWS is not destroying these resources instantly. Okay, so once you run your Lambda function, it will take a couple of minutes before it destroys those resources. That is why if you periodically warm your Lambda functions, then your cold start issue will not be there. So now as you understand the concept of serverless and Lambda function, let's go back to the AWS console and let's take a look at some of the other features that we get with the Lambda. Okay, so if you click on configuration, all the configuration related to a Lambda function will be present here. So over here you can see the function URL that we had created and the auth type as well. So if you click on general configuration, you will see an important thing. So if you click on edit, so over here you can do some basic setup. For example, how much memory you want to allocate to this Lambda function, how much storage you want to allocate, and what is the timeout. Okay, so as you can see right now, the timeout is just 3 seconds. Okay, because our code is not that heavy, right? We are just printing hello from Lambda. Okay, but let's say we have a code that takes more time. Okay, in that case it will time out. Okay, so you will have to increase the timeout, and as I said, the maximum you can do is 15 minutes. Okay, this is the maximum you can do, and at the end you can also assign as IAM role to this Lambda function in case if it's accessing other AWS services. For example, if it's downloading a few files and uploading them to S3, then this role should have S3 access as well. So over here you will see the option of triggers. Okay, and trigger is nothing but the triggers that will actually run this Lambda. Okay, so if you scroll up, you will see the name of our Lambda function over here in the diagram, and on the left you will see a trigger, and on the right you will see a destination. Okay, so what these two things mean is that let's say you want to trigger this Lambda function whenever there is a new file in the S3. Okay, so what you can do is you can click on add trigger and select a source. You can select a lot of services. Okay, for example, if you want to select S3, you can select that. Then you will have to enter your bucket. Okay, and you can select the event types, whatever event you want, right? Whether it's a put event, a post event, whether a file is deleted. Okay, so based on that you can select. You can also add some prefix or suffix to filter out a certain type of files, right? For example, if you want to run this Lambda whenever there is a new log file in the S3 bucket that has extension of .log, then you can track it using this, okay? And you can add it, okay? So what it will do is whenever there is a new log file in the S3, it will automatically run this Lambda function. And I will show you the hands-on demo of this thing in our next video where we'll build that project. Third tab is for the permissions. So as I said, there is a IAM role attached to this Lambda function, okay? So whatever services it needs access to, you will have to give it access through that. So right now, as you can see, it has access to CloudWatch logs, okay? So, because this is the default permission. So whenever you run this Lambda function, it will store the logs on the CloudWatch, okay? And you can even see them. So if you go to the monitor tab and click on this button, view CloudWatch logs, so it will open it in a new window and it will take you to the CloudWatch log group for that Lambda function. As you can see, AWS Lambda YT demo, and if you scroll down, you will see we have executed it once. That is why there is one log stream. And if you click on here, you will see the same output that we saw on the Lambda console, right? So if you click on view in plain text, you will see the same log files. Similarly, just like a trigger, you can also set a destination. So for example, let's say this Lambda function is doing some image resizing, and after the resize is done, you want to get a notification on your email, right? So in that case, you can add a destination here as well. And you also have the option of environment variables. So if there is any key value pairs or variables that you want to provide to your Lambda without hard coding them in the code, then you can create the environment variables here as well. And you have tags and you have VPC. So by default, a Lambda function is not associated with any VPC, okay? But if you want to do that, you can edit this and add it to a VPC. And after that, you have a few more advanced options which we do not have to worry about as of now. But one more important thing is, let's say you have created this Lambda function, right? And you want to take a backup of it, or you want to share it with some of your friends, okay? So on the top, you see this download option. So if you click on this, it will give you an option to download it as a zip file, okay? So we can download this as a zip file and we can later upload it again to any other Lambda function, okay? So let me show you how you can make changes to a Lambda. So it works just like any IDE, right? So for example, instead of hello from Lambda, I want to do hello from DevOps Studio, then we can do that. And on the left side, you will see it says you have undeployed changes, so you can deploy them, okay? So let's click on deploy. So it will take a couple of seconds and it will deploy your code, okay? So now if I run the same endpoint again, you will see that instead of hello from Lambda, now we get hello from DevOps Studio, okay? So you can easily edit your Lambda function with the help of this IDE. And as you can see, it's a simple copy paste, right? So whatever Python code you have, you can just copy and paste it here and you can deploy it and run it, okay? And all the remaining things like setting up the infrastructure, configuring the runtime, all of that will be handled by AWS. So I hope you liked this video. Please keep watching for the next video, because in the next video, as I said, we will do an end-to-end serverless project that you guys can follow along. So if you like this video, do give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon as well. And I will see you in the next video.